Hello all, and welcome to another Sunday Q&A, which may or may not come out in time because it's been a bit busy and just had the in-laws round for a spot of lunch. Guess what we've been talking about? Is it coming home, gentlemen? Oh, I hope it's coming home. I've got a job booked on Monday morning, Hemel Hempstead, not far from me. Pick up between 7:30 and 10:30. The guy said, "What time do you expect to be there?" I said, "I don't know. If it depends if it goes to penalties or not." So, but yeah, we've just been doing fingers crossed. In-laws are coming round tomorrow. Oh, which reminds me, on the subject of in-laws, I'd like to say a big thank you to Jerry from Luton, who is a fellow friend of ours who apparently watches the videos. So, thanks very much for taking the time, my friend. Appreciate it. So, with that in mind, now, I've done this thing where I've done a couple of videos lately, and I believe there should be follow-up videos. One was on starting on the CX, or starting with a van, what you should do if you're on the CX, or if you can't afford the CX, but you want to start with a van. And another one is CX versus Hermes. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a couple of follow-up videos to them, maybe next week. And then what I can do is I can link from my video to what you guys have said about my videos, because you guys make some interesting points. The wise guys out there made some interesting points and also picked up on things that I forgot about. And also there were things that I said in the video and afterwards I think, I meant to say that. So I'm going to do a follow-up video, but I'm going to give it a couple of weeks just so that I can get everybody's views in. So if you have any comments on starting in a van without actually being on the CX, or if you're on like Hermes or even maybe Amazon or maybe Argos and then you've moved over to the CX or you're thinking about moving to CX, if you could leave any more comments, you've got another week, and then after that I'll do the follow-up videos and I'll link them, which means in the future anyone who finds that video in like 3 months' time and they can go, oh, right, that's what Pete thinks. Let's see what everybody else thinks. And then they can see what people who know much better than me think, and I can link the two. So that's the plan, which also means we go straight into miscellaneous, which means this might be quicker, which means I've got half a chance of actually getting it up on time. So we'll see how we go. Anyway, so just to begin with, I did a video last week on Google versus Road Warrior versus Circuit. The Circuit mob do actually sponsor me now, and I make videos for their channel. They don't sponsor the channel, but I'm making videos for their channel. And occasionally I do one on here. I do think it's brilliant. I'm not a multi-drop guy, but I think if I was a multi-drop guy, that would be the one. But here's a few things that you guys have had to say about it. Domain name guy, he says the old way of doing it was to ask the driver who knows the route, etc. Ask them to scan the route in order, and you'd buy them breakfast. So find someone who knows what they're doing, watch them load the route into you, or say, mate, do me a favour, you sort this route out for me and I'll give you a drink out of it. Like I say, I'm not Mr. Multi-Drop guy, so I don't really know how that one goes, although I might try and get a little bit more involved, just to try and get a bit more behind the scenes, just try and help people out, And Martin McNulty says, you also get 8 stops on Google Maps, just add stops. The problem with that, as we said in the last video, is it won't optimize the stops. So you can turn around to Google and you can say, right, I'm in Luton and I need to go to Luton, and then I need to go to Stevenage, and then I need to go to Grantham, and then I need to go to Leeds, and then I need to go to somewhere else. I need to go to Luton, then I need to go to Slough, and it will do it in that order. Whereas if you get yourself a decent route optimizer like Circuit, there are other ones out there, but in my mind, it's the best, and you press click and it will do you the quickest route. It won't send you all around the houses. It will send you in the shortest possible route, which will save you time, save you money, and save you act. But again, you guys do you. So, Aaron AT and family says, if you start a small fleet, how do you go about earning money off other drivers? Do you rent off the van or take a percentage of their money? How does it work? I did one on this recently because in my naivety when we started the Vango thing, me and Al, we had the idea of subcontracting out on the exchange. It doesn't work for 3 reasons. It doesn't work for the shipper, it doesn't work for the customer, and it doesn't work for the van owner, and it's even frowned upon for many, many reasons. I will do a link. I did a video on that one. Small fleet, the idea, the exchange work, the small fleet thing works brilliantly if you actually have got your own drivers. and then you just pay them like PAYE on a wage, and you can send them the job through. And for the invoicing, for the tracking, from the sort of the scanning point of view, it's what it's designed for. We thought we'd spotted a gap in the system. We hadn't. And I think people before us have probably thought they'd found a gap in the system, and they hadn't. But no, really, it's like it's a management system for like a courier company, or if you just want to be your own man, drive around in a van. It is very, very good at what it does. Like I say, I get no, I'm upfront about things. The circuit mob pay me some money because I make videos for them. The exchange don't pay me any dough. BCD, the insurance people, they pay me dough. The exchange never had. They've said it's kind of a conflict of interest. I've kind of thought, because if you recommend someone to the exchange, they pay you, they never have for me. But again, I'm not bitter about it because I wouldn't be where I am today without them. It just is what it is. And I would just give you it as it is. That's all I've ever done, But yeah, from the point of view of subcontracting onto other vans, there is that video. If I haven't done a link, it will be there. Follow it through. I don't recommend it. Speaking from someone who tried it and went, oh, it was a big headache. It didn't make any money. It was more trouble than it worth. But ultimately, you do you. Mark Harris says, quick thank you for all the advice on here. I've been watching since January. Without you and Big Beardy Man, the first of the month, the CX would not have gone so smoothly. Top man. Mark, thank you very much. And don't forget, I'm just not the only guy. There's other people out there. Van on the Run, who's our kind of, he's the number cruncher guy. He drills into dead miles and how much it goes. Big Beardy's out there. There's plenty of other people out there doing what I'm doing now. Feel free to watch all of them. Get as much advice as you can. Get the information in. Be prepared before you go. I'd fully recommend it. Ian Merrick. Hello, mate. How we doing? He says, morning, Pete. He says, more drivers in the Facebook. He's got a Facebook same-day courier, not on the exchange. Again, you're going to have to help me out with this one, mate. I'm quite happy to throw things your way. I'm just not quite sure what it is. And it's like a network group. And he said, apparently, because he is the man on fuel cards, Ian is super duper. He does this thing called Play Your Fuel Cards Right. And I've said I'm quite prepared to do like a Friday Bruce Forsyth thing, but I think it's kind of his thing, which is all kind of cool. And he's basically, Apple Green seemed to be the way forward. So as far as the fuel cards are concerned at the moment, I had to have a little whinge up at mine about 3 weeks ago. Someone's asked me a question about fuel cards. We'll come to that later. But they seem to be fine now. But it strikes me that as a general rule of thumb, Apple Green seems to be the way forward. They're not who I'm with. I'm with, I think, UK Fuels. They do what all fuel car people do, which is they give you the price cheap and they creep it up. Penny, 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 until you get to the stage where you don't want to tolerate it any longer, and you ring them up and you go, you're 7p dearer than everybody else. And they go, oh yeah, we've looked at your thing and we can do you cheaper, and then it drops and it clocks up again. Why they just don't give you the best price and be done with it? Why they think we're idiots? I don't know. But I don't work for a fuel car company. I drive a puddle jumper. Fedbeg says, congratulations, next stop class 1, because I did my class 2 recently. I don't know, mate. I've passed my class 2. I'm still driving a 7.5 tonne. I'm kind of happy in a 7.5 tonne. Me and Alice do very well together. Where the future goes, I don't know. Fork truck, spacecraft, don't know. We just have to wait and see. Jay Webb, he said, livery, right, now he's got on a livery. Now, as far as I can work out, livery is sign writing. Again, I know nothing. So you guys know I'm just a mouthpiece to my opinions, and then everyone tells me what I got wrong, why I got it wrong, and then I put it right the next week. But he said, there's a box you tick on the CX page that says, are you livery? And he says, I've signed up and could have livery. The long and short of it, again, I have done a video on I've done 2 because I accidentally forgot that I'd done it and done it again. But I've done 2 videos, and I will do a link to one of them. To the advantages and disadvantages of sign written vans. And they're kind of frowned upon because you're going in as someone else's customer. You're going as someone else. So if you're doing a job for Bob's Courier and you turn up in Barry's Courier splitting all over your van, it's like, hang on, I thought you was Bob's Couriers. But having said all of that, most people don't even pay attention. Most people don't even look at the van. You go, I've got 3 pallets, mate, and they get the fork truck, put the pallets on, go, there you go, sign it. They don't care what's written inside your van. You could have turned up at, I don't know, in an inflatable raft. And they would just put the pallets on and gone, sign here, mate, and gone back inside and do what they're doing, like, you know. So it's not as big a deal as sometimes people make out. Some people don't like it. There is certainly a thing that if you have got a sign written lorry and you turn up in your sign written lorry week in, week out, sooner or later that customer's going to go, hang on a second, I'm paying Barry's Couriers, Bob's Couriers, your Barry's Couriers is written all over your van, why don't I just pay you? And you can go, well, I can't stop you doing that. I can't hand my card out, I can't publicise anything, but it's written all over my van. Then if you choose to read the number inside of my van, I can't stop you doing that. I don't appreciate this personally, because I wouldn't want anyone nicking my customers, and as a result of which I wouldn't want to nick anyone else's customers. I don't think it's like cricket, if you know what I mean. But having said that, some people do it, and is it wrong? It's kind of a grey area. So at the end of the day, it's down to you. I've done a thing on sign written vans. You do you. We've kind of, all our lorries are plain. We're like, you know, sort of blue or white curtain sides, no markings, and we kind of fill the gap for a lot of shippers around us, where if they can't get a truck in, they ring us. And we're kind of finding our own niche with that. I'm trying to get another couple of lorries on the road at the moment. It's not quite so straightforward. You know, it requires dough and operator's license, and I've got to work out how the website works, which I'm not great with technology, guys, you know. But it's a long road, and we're getting there. But ultimately, you do you. I'll tell you it as I see it. You make the decisions. Steve Campbell, he says, I'm going over because there's a thing. A guy asked a question. He said, what's it like shipping in an island? Now, you've got to bear in mind, I'm UK only. I'm standard national. We don't leave the country. He said, I'm going over to Limerick on an Arctic on Tuesday. I need to take a lateral flow test before I go. So that's kind of thing. Excuse me. David Winter, my mate Dave the Crisps. He said pallets, because I've done one before about getting rid of pallets. Bust them up and make garden boxes or chairs or TARDISes, be lucky. He's my mate. He is the nicest person I've ever met in my entire life. He taught me to play guitar. Admittedly, I play guitar very badly. He plays guitar like Martin Knopfler. He's phenomenal. And he basically took some pallets apart and built some garden boxes. I will try and do you a link if I can to that video. He's the nicest guy. Even if you just watch it, honestly, subscribe if you like, don't subscribe. But honestly, he's the nicest person I've ever met in my life. So there we go. Paul Bevan, he's on fees. He said no one should be charging anything less than £25 waiting time or £25 for a cancellation job, even in a small van. Because we're self-employed, we don't work. Tesco's get £12 an hour. He says, and they don't have to provide a van or hire reward insurance and all that kind of stuff. He said, and goods in transit insurance and all that. He's right. Again, some people won't want to pay an awful lot of money. You will work your own way forward, I hope. I mean, I always found it frustrating. In a Luton in my head, I wanted to be earning £30 an hour. So if I was on a 10-hour day, I'd be earning 300 quid, which isn't too bad. In a lorry, I want to be earning £50 an hour. So on a 10-hour day, a monkey. But you've got to take out tax, wear and tear. You've got to take into account. Sometimes you think, oh, that job, I'll do it for like, I'll do that for 150. And then you think, hang on, we'll take the tax off that. We'll take the petrol off that. That's going to be, say, 20 quid. That 150 is now 120. Then we take the tax off the 120. Now it's down to 90 quid. Then I'm going to be on the job for 4 hours or 3. For that kind of money, you wouldn't be a couple of hours. And you think, hang on, this isn't working out quite as sweet as those. So sometimes you think it's a load of dough, but you've got to drill into the figures. This is what Van on the Run does. He's the man who drills into the figures. But it is kind of important. Don't ever get carried away. Like I did one on the conveyor belt falls. If I've got room, I'm darling. And you might think you're making dough, but you're not, because there's a lot of on costs which have to be considered, and these are things that I've learned as I've gone forward, So, and all I want to do is pass this information on to you. I'm still right. I'm still kicking, but some people didn't. And if I can help someone falling by the wayside from making like a rookie schoolboy error, brilliant. you know, it suits me fine. What have we got here? Oh, he also said, Paul Williams says, have you noticed how bad driving's got? I don't know if driving's got any worse or we just forgot how bad it was before every idiot disappeared off the road. But I know what you're saying, mate. Gilla Eugen says, I've never used the app options, going home, going to, future journey. Is this something you should do more often? I'm going to do a video on this. I have my way of doing it, but I think it's something that should be flagged, because I've never actually addressed it before. I did try to use it in the beginning and it proved me a massive headache, but then I found my way of doing it. Again, I've done a video on that, but I'm running out of links here. But yeah, I'll do you a video on that one, see if we can actually clear that one up. Just nick the Charles pencil, hold on a second. Charles back in the house at the moment. We'll have boxes around here before you know it. There we go, just do a star on that one. I'll do you one for that, mate. Andrew Melia, he said, how's it going? He said, I'm located in Ireland. Do you know any apps or exchanges for getting work over here? I've searched but can't seem to find anything. No, Ireland's tough. In the same way as the middle of Wales is tough, Plymouth is tough, Scotland is tough. We'll come to that. Someone mentioned that one earlier on, later on, actually. And certain areas are tough. But my mate John, I'm not even sure if he's still. He may or not be with us. I know he had other things going on there with an adoption thing going on there, but he was doing all right. And the best thing you can do with Ireland is try and get the jobs. A regular customer in Ireland, as far as I understand it, coming over here and then use the exchange maybe to get back. But it doesn't seem to work quite so well. And again, I don't know. I put my hands up. I don't know. But it's sort of kind of tough to get out of Ireland. How does Europe work? I don't know. All I know is what I've done, which was basically start off in a Luton van with tail lift, drive around the southeast of England, maybe up as far as sort of Aberdeen, and then do the same in a truck. And that's all I can tell you. I can tell you what I've done after that. I would just be lying, and it's kind of not my style, man. I don't really do that. So, yeah, like I say, if John can give us any more information, we can put that in the comments or can pass it on. Otherwise, anyone else who knows any better, the wise guys out there, the ones that understand better than me, please let me know, and I will happily pass it on. Clint Cumberland. What printer do you use? I have got a Hewitt Packard. It's got it's like a droid name, like a 3850 inkjet printer. In the office, we've got, again, I'm not even sure. It's a black and white, I think it might be a Brother laser printer, because in the office it's mainly about invoicing. So it just goes, from my point of view, all we tend to do is, I tend to like print out the questions on a Saturday, because it's my home, so I do it on the home printer. And the child is doing all kinds of stuff to do with this interior design thing she's doing. And she does them on the printer, like, you know, which means we run through it. And I've got that HP Instant Ink, which I've got to say works very, very well. Although I've now realised they don't charge you by the cartridge, they charge you by the print. So it's a bit like a phone contract. If you go over your, if you've got 100 minutes and you go over your minutes, suddenly you're paying through the nose. So just don't go over your minutes. But even then, I went over your minutes, it cost me extra tenner. I've had worse news. That's kind of thinking I'm running out of AdBlue and I'm just going to get the carton rather than actually be able to use the pump, you know, it kind of happens. So, but yeah, I've just got a Hewitt Packard because the computer's at Hewitt Packard. I worked on the idea that if the two of them have got the same name, they might speak to each other easier. Yeah, no. Printers are evidence that computers hate us, and eventually when they take over the world, we will be first up against the wall when the revolution comes. By the way, there's a wonderful book about that. About it sort of involves computers, written by a lovely fella in a Red England t-shirt. It's called The Unbelievables. Please go to the website at the end and have a look. I think it's good. I'm getting some feedback. People seem to be enjoying it. Josh Damari says, he said, wow guys, you do mega miles for peanuts. I'm running a van and man and van removals around Yorkshire. I make about £25 an hour plus fuel, normally get around 25 to 30 hours a week. Almost 2 years, I love it. Was thinking about career work for the slow days, but now I'm not so sure. Josh, in fairness, if you're running around doing removals, you've got to be in a Luton with a tail. The kind of money you're making doing removals is the kind of money that I was making when I was just running a van. And I've done small removals. And I've got a mate, Martin, who does small removals. And I've got to be honest, on the whole, Small removals and courier driving make the same kind of money. One of them involves sitting on a bench while a bloke with a fork truck puts 3 pallets on your van, and then you drive them, and then the guy with the fork truck takes them off. One of them involves taking large wardrobes down 2 flights of stairs, wrapping them, putting them in the back of the van, and hoping they don't get scratched. So if you're happy with what you're doing, we're all power to you. I would say, obviously you want to go a little bit further with that one. Think about getting yourself an O. Think about getting yourself a bigger wagon. Think about getting yourself a few men on board. There is money in removals. I found removals hard work. I did. Income. You can make. There is the same money, in my opinion, in transport as there is removals. One of them involves an awful lot of grief. The other one doesn't. But that, again, is just my personal opinion. Probably wrong. Everything that tends to be on this channel, as I've said many times, is certainly wrong, or at least largely erroneous. So please take it with a pinch of salt. And if you're happy doing what you're doing, keep doing it. You're a lucky man. Not everybody gets to be happy in what they're doing. Razwan Akram, do you pay interest on your fuel card? No, because the way we've got it set up is basically we use our cards for a week. They work out what they owe us. They bill us at the end of the week, and direct debit, it goes out of the account on the next, on the Monday. So Monday to Friday, you can set them up for a month. So you can go, we get a month's worth of fuel, and then at the beginning of every month, the money's there, which means you get to play with their money for a month. Having said that, we didn't want to go down that way. We want to keep everything straight and no aggravation. If you do find yourself in a situation where the bill comes in and you haven't got the money to pay it, that's when trouble starts. That's when they start charging you interest and you start getting grief. And that's why when I started off, because I really wasn't that well fixed, I didn't have a fuel card. So I thought, I know what happened. I'll get a month's worth of fuel. I won't have the money at the end of the month. I'm going to get interest. I'm going to get late payments. I'm going to get aggravation. I did one on how you can actually get fuel for £1. In fairness, I will do a link if I've got one left. That one's worth having. It just buys you a couple of days to get it from Tesco's. To me, it just wasn't worth the grief. But no, the way we work at the moment is it's just more of a convenience. We can give our drivers cards. They know they can get fuel. They know they can get AdBlue. It all goes out the same account. It's more of an accountancy thing than a money-saving thing, to be honest with you. But no, I don't want to pay interest. I don't pay interest on anything. Steve Wilson says, "Good morning, buddy. Hope you had a good week. House looks lovely. Can we have a house tour?" I would love to, mate, but to be honest with you, there isn't anything more than this. I forgot a link. I'll do one. I'm running out of links here. You can only have 5 links on YouTube, so I'm going to have to choose. It's all front room. We've got 3 bedrooms out the back. They're nice. They're very nice bedrooms. They're not very big. One of them's en suite. The other 2 are normal. And I've got a nice garden, but it really is all front room. I'm not trying to be flash about it. I loved it. It just spoke to me. It always did when we bought it, and we've been very happy here. So, but no, I can't exactly take you around and show you the grand room and the tennis courts and the rocket pad. It ain't there, mate. It's 3 tiny bedrooms and having said that, I'm incredibly lucky and love just what I've got. I just, it's not many people get to live in Valhalla, do they? So, lucky man. So, on the final bit, here we go. In conclusion, Jason Burke said, "I thought your T-shirt was saying," says that units? Unts. There's a star in front of us. Missing. Yeah, no, that's not my again. I don't know what my T-shirt was saying, but it certainly wasn't saying that. It's saying England at the moment. Can we do it? Oh, please God. I watched them play the Ukraine. I'm not a football guy. I was always on the market. When my mates went and watched the football, I was on the market. Watched them play the Ukraine. Oh, my God, I've never seen a better team. Watched them play Denmark. Very evenly played. And I kind of thought, and again, I don't know what I'm talking about, but I kind of thought we were lucky. But then some people have said, how many times in the past have we been unlucky, touched by the hand of God? I remember Maradona, and we got knocked out for that one. And it's a bit like, well, maybe it's our turn. We're at home. We're on home turf. We're playing. We've got the crowd behind us, which some might argue is an unfair advantage. Italy apparently are mustard. I just hope. Like I say, I want to be picking up that load at 10:30, not 7:30. We'll see. Steve Campbell says, on a side note, he said about, because this is a good question. This is another one that you guys might want to fire up for a future video. How do you know you're not transporting illegal items? Like drugs and money. Now, I have a friend. The thing is, if you ever get to read the first book, chapter 8, about Dave, Dave is my hero. He basically restored my life in humanity. But if you're transporting a pallet of Coke that's got a street value of Christ knows how much money, you don't tend to put it on some generic bloke with a van and follow it. You tend to want to know who the guy who owns the van is and see what's going on. He said, but how do we know? It could be drugs or money. He says, curious, don't look in the boxes, which we don't. He said, Chippers take their word for it, and it could be the Royal Mail. And he's also nearly finished his book. He said, I remembered a few little stories I'm writing. When you finish that book, you want to give me see if you can get it on the video, or just send it through and we'll do a link for you, because this man is absolutely full of interesting stories. And as far as your comment about working in Gigi's, and what about the ex-girlfriend, mate, it's a family show. I'm not about to read that out. It's a family show. I've said this before. The funniest thing I ever saw was there's, if you ever get to Google it, it's on YouTube, and it's called Carl Hooper, That's Amazing. And it's the one with Paul Whitehouse in it. And it's called The Hurricane Sketch. And, oh my God, I actually recorded it on video back in the day, and I think I played it through about 8 times, and on the bounce, and every time just sat there. I watched it the other day just to make sure I'm still crying with laughter. It might not be for you, but it makes me smile. And finally this week, as we draw to a close, Joel member says, are you flossing a Rolex? Looks like a Rolex, doesn't it? Kind of even got the thing on it. So all I'll say is, got quite a few nice watches. I have actually got an original Seamaster, which I bought when I was 30, and now it's broken. The helium escape valve has gone, and it kind of needs a service. And to get it properly back up and running again, if you bought a decent watch, I think a Seamaster now retails for around about $5,000. When I bought it, my mum bought it for me, and she bought it from Gibraltar, and it was grand. And I put some money in, my family put some money in. It was my 30th birthday present, that kind of 31st, but it's neither in nor there. You can get similar ones in China. They tend to retail for around about 110 quid. The one thing I will say, diver's watch, don't get it wet. I know what you're saying, it's a diver's watch. Well, I've got a pair of desert boots. I wouldn't walk across the Sahara in them, would I? So, is it a real Rolex? It looks like a real one. Keeps equally bad time. That's it. Probably a crime. So I was doing 35 mile an hour and 30 mile an hour zone, or bringing back extra duty free. I ain't gonna cry about it. In the meantime, like I say, guys, Sunday today, hope you're with a family. I hope you're with your mates, getting a barbecue together, and hopefully this afternoon, stroke this evening, whenever this video goes out, we watch them go home to victory. It'd be lovely, wouldn't it? And in the meantime, take care, take money.